There has been an unusual escalation reported in Manipur. Three militants from Manipur's valley-based outfits have died in clashes with Myanmar's rebel militant group along the India-Myanmar border. The statement released by People's Revolutionary Party of Kangleipak, a militant group based out of the valley, have confirmed these deaths. The bodies have been retrieved by the Assam Rifles and handed over to their families. Well, this is a fresh crisis now reported at the India-Myanmar border, which the centre has been pushing to fence amid the ongoing escalation. But this does pose a fresh threat in an already tense situation in Manipur, and we're going to talk about this with our guest. Joining us on the show is Mr. Thankar Kshetre Mayum. He's a Methi voice who joins us on the show. Kachin Langel, from Central Secretariat, Director in the Ministry of Water Resources, a Cookie voice, joins us on the show. Mr. P.K. Mishra, former Assistant Director, SPG and former ADG, CRPF, also joins us on the program. And DGP B.L. Vora, Terror and Security Expert, also joins us on the program. Thank you, gentlemen, for being a part of this conversation. Mr. Mishra, sir, if I can begin with you, sir, if you can hear me.
Yes, I can get you.
Sir, we are already consistently and constantly worried about, the situation which continues to sporadically escalate in Manipur. Now, there are fresh tensions that have come up. There is a new tangent, if I can call it that. There is this new angle now coming in. The Home Minister just a few weeks ago had, unequivocally announced that there is going to be a large fencing which is going to take care of the illegal infiltration. What kind of a rabble are we dealing with now as a result of these clashes and these deaths?
Yes, I can well tell you the last meeting which the Honorable Home Minister had there with all political parties and leaders of various groups in Manipur. In fact, he stressed that the fencing work will continue. It is going very fast. I can tell you that by about 47 kilometers fencing has already been done in Morris Range, and we have to go more for that. And what has happened on Wednesday? Things are pretty bad. There was a clash between our PLA, People Liberation Army of Myanmar, our Manipur, and this People Liberation Party of Kangleipak. That is also Manipur. Those who are staying opposite side in the Myanmar. They had a fight with each other with the Myanmar Rebel Party, particularly that of KNF Burma, and also this PDF Burma. These two groups, they combined together, they had a fight with them, and three of them, they died. That is from PLA and Pripak. And their bodies were handed over to Assam Rifle, and Assam Rifle brought them to Kaching, their dead bodies, and they were handed over to their respective families. This shows that these militants, these Pripak and PLA militants, are operating in Manipur-Myanmar border, and they cross over to the opposite side, and they keep on getting arms from there. What really has happened for the last 2-3 months, the weapons were coming from Myanmar by these type of militants, these KNF and also this PLA and Pripak, and what transpired this time, there was a fraction. There was friction between these two militant groups. It happens always. It has happened with Cookie Joe and the Jeddah also. It has happened in Churachandpur several times. It is the entire class of militants. It takes place for domination of a particular area. So what has happened in Myanmar side, its impact will be there definitely in our side. I can well tell you that yes, the government is trying its best to continue the border fencing in a very speedy way. But the main factor is the border is still not guarded properly in border outpost manifestos. It is not guarded properly after so many incidents happened, and we have so many battalions of security forces and paramilitary forces. Myanmar-Manipur border is still now open, and militants are passing from this side to that side, and you can just see what has happened in the border. So we have to, this is high time, our border guarding force, whatever may be, whether it is Assam Rifle, whether it is BSF, whether it is CRPF, whether it is ITBP, a particular force should be entrusted to guard the border in BOP concept. I repeat, in BOP concept, not company concept. Mr. B.L. Vora will definitely come to know what is a BOP concept, or otherwise the border will remain tense, because not only the drugs, not only the weapons, even the militants are also coming from opposite side, and I'm telling you, there are one or two foreign hands are also there from opposite side. They are interfering, and then also about what has happened in Bangladesh. Now it is a mini Pakistan. I can tell you, Bangladesh is now a mini Pakistan, and I can tell you the latest information in Chittagong Hill Tract. All those militant camps have been reopened by Muhammad Yunus, and Jamatis has asked all these militant camps to again reopen, like opposite to our Kashmir in POK in Muzaffarabad and Kale, we are having jihadi breeding camps by ISI. So these camps are coming up, and they will cross from Mizoram border, take the Guete road and Tidim road, and come to Choda Chandpur. This is going to happen. It is high time that our border should be guarded, or otherwise things are pretty bad in Myanmar-Manipur border. We have to be very careful of that. And what has transpired, it is okay. These three militants have been killed. I am telling you very frankly, the militants, you see, any militant, whoever joins militancy, 5 or 10 years or so, he has to die. And he should die also. Very frankly, I am telling, the militant must be killed and they must die. Well, whoever he may be Myanmar militant, or he may be Manipur militant, he may be Kashmir militant, whatever may be, Hizbul the militant, or Joyce Muhammad militant. A militant should be killed always. Even if they have been killed opposite side in Myanmar, that is a different issue. It's a good thing for our country. But militancy is there. The main factor is our militancy is there. We have to be very cautious what is happening in Myanmar border, Myanmar-Manipur border, and it is high time we have to have maximum forces to guard that border. Otherwise, this type of incidents will keep on happening. And our militant groups earlier, those who are getting trained in opposite side in Tamu, I visited those areas earlier when weapons, I don't want to tell when weapons were passed, nothing, sorry, my comments. But as what is happening in Tamu and opposite side, these things will come back here, because border is open. They will bring weapons. They have brought weapons. They have brought.
Right. Let's also get DGP BL Vora into this conversation and understand his perspective. DGP Vora, this militancy angle. How worrying is this? Oftentimes through the cracks, and incessantly, people have heard this conversation about Manipur headed, the Kashmir way. Is that something that has crossed your mind as well? And do you think that this is perhaps, an event which perhaps could push the militancy angle further in Manipur?
We need these rebel groups, militant groups, PLA, Pre-Pak, have been there for almost half a century. When I was first posted there in 1980 as a DIG in Manipur, they were there at that time. And they were at the peak of their power at that time. And they had certain ideology also at that moment. They were contained at that time, of course, and then their leader, one Visheshwar Singh of PLA, he in fact was in Allahabad jail. He was brought to Manipur. We kept him there. Later he was willing to surrender. All that happened. Later on, see, these groups, they forgot their ideology. They became extortionists and almost criminals. That is what they were doing. Now with the clashes of cookies with Maithis, they have got a new lease of life. This is number one. So they have been on there all the time. They have been there on that soil. Second, see, in Burma also, there are rebels who are fighting the government there, the government of the junta. They are the ones who are fighting. Many of these our own rebel groups, whether they're cookies or Maithi groups, they take their shelters on the Burmese side, naturally, to avoid the Indian forces with the Indian border. Something must have happened between the two, and that is why the clashes and they got killed. So I don't think we should be really bothered about it. as my dear friend Mishra said. We shouldn't be bothered about that. And in this particular case, fencing has no role to play at all, if you ask me, because this is a clash between two rebel groups. Maybe it's about shelter, maybe it's about weapons, maybe it's about booty or what have you. Now, why it is worrying is, that's a very important question you raised. Why it is worrying is that now these PLA, pre-PAK, etc., they have now got a new lease of life, as I told you, with the clashes. They had nothing else to do except extort money, be criminals. Now they have a role to play as guardians of the Meitei community. That is what I think the role that they have taken over. And that way, of course, there are many other outfits have also come up on both sides. That way it is worrying because it will give impetus to the situation, to the bad situation there. And they would, of course, have weapons. And now with Bangladesh angle coming in and weapons coming from across, and so many weapons looted, about 6,000 weapons were looted with arms and ammunition, and hardly about 2,000 have come back. There's a lot more. Yes, it's worrying from that point of view that the strength of these people who want to indulge in violence against Kuki community will increase, and that should be contained. Vineet, thank you.
All right, those are valid points and those are valid concerns. Let me also get in Kachin Langal into this conversation. Mr. Langal, thank you for joining us. There's a beautiful image behind you, and I reckon that is an image of the valleys of Manipur, but they're under threat today. They're under a lot of stress, if I can call it that. And this is something that has been going on for a very, very long time. Do you think there hasn't been a formidable intervention either at the state or the central level to, sort of take care of the situation which continues to boil? And it's gotten to a point, where the exigency is so high that you will have to act sooner than later to avoid a complete collapse of the system.
But thank you so much for inviting. I have already retired in 2019, so I'm no longer in active service. I'm a retired man. And what you said is what I have been always saying. The government of India can do it and stop it long time back if there is really a political will. But there is no political will. How can this go on? That's what I have been asking last time also when you asked me, I said the same thing. I have worked in the Ministry of Defense also for I think 24 years, 1983 to 2007. I have interaction with the army side also. In the army, once they determine to do something, they can do it. They go ahead and they deliver whatever task they are given. But Manipur, a small state, still going on, violence still going on for more than 1 year. In fact, it is the 18th month. Can you imagine that? This is very unfortunate. I don't blame the people. I need not side with any particular side, but whatever going on, people killing each other. You can imagine. Even your relatives are suffering. They are affected. We can't go via Imphal airport, and we can't use the national highways. It means death. How can this go on? So this problem has not been addressed neither by the state government nor the central government. And I'm afraid the army and central forces have not been given proper directions what to do. So as regard the present incident, I think this clash is inside Myanmar between forces loyal to national unity government under Aung San Suu Kyi and the state, the military junta. So the PDF and KNA most of the civilians are with the democratic forces, PDF, KNB, whatever. Then the other groups, Meitei or Com groups, and maybe some other groups also, they have been hiding there, if I remember correctly, since the time the Meitei militants were driven out of Sajik Tampak in Imphal Valley during the time of Ibobi Chief Minister. So they have been there. Many of them have come back. Yes, they have infiltrated, but they are still there. And they are, one group is siding the military junta, and the KNA is with the PDF. The present clash, as per my information, was between PDF, CNA versus PLA and those owing allegiance to the Burmese government, SSC. So I'm a little taken aback when I read that the dead bodies were picked up and brought home by the Assam Rifles. In fact, PLA, KYKL or Qualcomm Group, they never accept Manipur marshal. So they were declared terrorists. I don't know if the other group die, whether the Assam Rifle Jawans will do the same thing and bring them home. So this, I don't know. I'm not sure. But as in response to your question, the problem would have been gone long time back if the government really tried to stop it. So it has to be stopped. It must be stopped. It has gone for far too long. The people are suffering. Both sides are suffering. And life, fundamental rights, they are not there in the hills at least. And even in Imphal Valley, you know, the extortions, the kidnapping and all that, all are still going on. And armed groups moving freely. How can it be? So it's very unfortunate.
Let me also rope in Mr. Tritankar in this. Tritankar, unfortunate to see that the situation only continues to go south here. We spoke about this a few months ago as well. There was a slump in violence a few months ago, but then it escalated again. Do you think a special task force, a political one as well as a military one, needs to be activated now to make sure that this situation does not embarrass the entire country?
First of all, thank you for having me here. I would just like to point that, we need to look at the larger geopolitics at play here. And as Mr. Mishra said, fencing is very important. What this incident that we're talking about is a spillover of the geopolitics and the different militant or other groups that are operating in this region, right? So if you look at the entire angle of geopolitics here, there are certain militant groups which are aligned towards the junta, which is the current government in Myanmar. Then there are certain militant groups which are opposing the current government there. So there is infighting happening there. And for that infighting to spill over to the border states is a very I think understandable concept, because wherever there is escalation, it tends to spread out. So I think getting the fencing done is very important, as Mr. Mishra pointed out, to make sure that whatever is within our territory, at least there is no action or there is no infringement into our territorial integrity of India. Number one is that. Number two is that they really need to look at solving this using the soft power as well as getting people involved who are locally available here. I heard a lot of comments here where they said there is extortion going on, there is abduction going on, there is kidnapping going on. I'm living here, I'm here sitting. And these, again, I would say is misinformation and propaganda which flies out depending on, what social media is saying. So for some people, they may be militants. For some people, they may be freedom fighters. It's a very thin line to draw there. Taking example from what's happening in, Israel and Hamas. Hamas is terrorist, but some people call them freedom fighters. So I think I would like to be politically correct here and say that depending on how the views are, taken, uh, the organization would term them as terrorists or as freedom fighters, right? Also, we need to understand that this has been happening from the late 70s, and there is a reason for this happening, right? And previous government in the centers have, whether people in this forum may believe it or not, but in general, it is a perception that the Northeast has been neglected by the central government, which have been ruling India for over 60 years. There were changes, and in fact, I would say that in the past 10 years, there were a lot of economic changes. The highways were made, and from Imphal, if you're going to Moreh and then to Tammu, it used to take 3 hours. Now you can do that distance in 1.5 hours. So the infra and everything was developed a lot. But unfortunately, because of this incident, and I would say that the beginning of this incident was the fact that the Kuki community had accused the Meitei community of burning Anglo, of their community, a sort of a symbol of their existence. And the army chief was very direct in his comments that no such thing had happened. So the fact that all this is flared up, I'm sure there are political motivations behind this flare up. And if the center and the state both want to curb it, it can be curbed. As I said, previously when I was here, it's just that we need to find out the nitty gritties. But first and foremost, I think even I understand how the army operates. My father served in the Indian Army, retired as a colonel. In fact, he was serving in Nagaland in Assam Rifles as well. I have the view of perception that in our border areas, we should have BSF like how we have in Punjab and in certain areas of J&K. I think their primary task is to protect the borders, and Assam Rifle to an extent here has got itself mingled in a certain sort of, I would say, conspiracy within different communities because of certain, I would say, misinformation or elements of propaganda. But in general, fencing is needed, and we need to make sure that the internal politics does not go into the external politics of this very strategic, geolocation space.
Very correct.
Mr. Mishra,
Yeah.
do you think that there is obviously this angle that Tritankar also put in, that the situation perhaps which is being reported is worse than the actual situation on ground, and social media in this day and age is only going to add more fuel to this fire?
Yes, I can well tell you, I have listened to Mr. Tirthasankarji, Mr. Boraji, and Mr. Kanchan Langalji. I admit that, see, the social media, what they are going, of course, they are propagating it more, but things are quite certain. I listened to Mr. Kanchan Lange. He is absolutely correct. I give him 100%. I agree with him. There are areas like Sajik Tampak, Bihang, and you go from Sangai Kot towards Myanmar border. You go from Khongkhang, instead of Khongkhang, going from Khongkhang towards Moreh, you take a turn to left towards Sita and go down and go towards Myanmar. These areas are all open. And both the groups are available there, and even those who have come from Myanmar, this Myanmar refugees, they have also made various camps in those areas which have already been observed, and it is a fact on the ground. So we have so many Myanmaris, those who are there in that area, and we have both the Kuki militant groups and also the Meitei militant groups, the PLA and Pripak groups. They are operating in Sajik Tampak and Bihang and ahead of Sangai Kot. So we must have these security forces to go for operations in those areas rather than to remain in Bishnupur, Chorachandpur, Imphal East, Imphal West, and Kangleipak and these areas. No, these are the places they must go. As Mr. Tirthankar was also telling, you see, fencing, of course, it's not only 45 kilometers or 47 kilometers we have done. We have to go very fast. And he is absolutely correct that a border guarding force is clearly mentioned. Maybe border security force has to be entrusted the task of manning this border in border outpost concept. Otherwise, till we have not made this fencing, these militants will cross over, the weapons will definitely come, the drugs will come. Drugs, they are coming from both the sides. We are also cultivating in those areas. I'm very sure drug cultivation is, poppy cultivation is still going on. And we have drugs coming from Myanmar side also. We have to stop it. How can you stop it? It's very difficult when the border is completely open, like that you go to Mizoram border towards Bangladesh and Myanmar is completely open. So it is high time that, okay, the political level, political dialogue must continue. As Mr. Amit Shah, he had a meeting, he organized a meeting in Delhi, getting all the Kuki MLAs and the mighty MLAs to come together, and the Naga MLAs to come forward, bringing both the parties for discussion. Such discussion should take place in Imphal and Churachandpur. I mean, such discussion between these groups, these two warring groups, must continue in Churachandpur. We can easily go.
All right, sir. So unfortunately we've run out of time. We appreciate your thoughts and the perspective that everybody shared on this important discussion.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.